What's up guys, it's Sean and today we're going to check out Utamara Boutique Residences in Bandar Utama. Yeah, let's go check it out. So as we are walking around the site right now, we can see a very unique typology in terms of town planning, where the project here is a low density apartment, but next to it then you will have single story houses, then you will have kampung houses, then you will have plots of land that are amalgamated, and you will see the bungalow. And right in front of the project there's also a brand new construction site that's going to be similar in typology. That's the best they can squeeze out of this already. And this is seriously a site of Bandar Utama that most of us are not familiar at all. Because we're always familiar with the 1U side, we're always familiar with the center point, but this is directly behind center point. And you can see straight away when we step into the project, right, the entire infrastructure level is different already. The landscape treatments, the walkways, the fencing, CCTVs, all these are decorated already in comparison to the surrounding. Though those are maintained by government, right, this is somewhat a new development in this old location. So the first concern right now from the unit itself, right, so you have units at the lower rise. At most this is like 4 to 5 story only. Very unique. At this level then you are very close to the road, you are also very close to this neighboring block. Yeah, but the journey back home is very nice. Like, this is very dressed up. So coming in from the guardhouse, you will drive through the pavements, so the entire entrance experience is very nice. And we are now in the lobby of block A, which is immediately next to the road. I think because of the very low number of units, therefore this is very sufficient. But some details to the pavements, it's actually glittery. You can see that they actually put in a lot of attention, and this will be the car park experience. I guess it's for residents. Imagine you just park here on the ground floor where you still have somewhat access to open air. Very nice, because the entire edge of the boundaries are still all kept as landscape treatments. But in terms of structural system then, because this is a very low density project, you don't really need to go crazy. That's why the size of the beams and columns is somewhat like very thick. But here you can see a very similar language of the boundary. So the fences are very high and it's very dense, and it includes all the CCTV lah. So it's heavily monitored due to its site typology lah. So this is how the site plan looks like, where you have a very irregular form of a land, and this is block A, this is block B. So currently we are in block A, and this is how the floor plate looks like. So in one floor there will be only 8 units separated into 2 wings. Okay, so this is the lift lobby in the center. On one side you will connect to 4 units, on the other it will connect to 4. So we are in type 1 unit 6 right now, where you have a dedicated corridor into the space itself, so it's cool, and you will have the connection to the void. However, in order to access to the facilities later, we will need to go into block B. So we go check that out. I'm not too sure which block then you will prefer, because in total there will be 5 stories and a total of 82 units only. Ooh, sakit. So from the lobby coming out directly, we are in the floor plate, and there's 2 lifts here. The width of the lift is 2.36, the ceiling height of the corridor is 2.45, and it's a very open lift lobby because there's actually 2 wings, and on both wings you can see the windows are very big in scale. Therefore, amount of daylight is just awesome. And when you look outwards, you can see the feature wall that's decorated using the slate materials, and you have the creepers all just growing organically. There's also a lot of planter boxes around, so they also use similar treatments to let creepers be part of that facade treatment, or flowing downwards into the central void area. So here feels somewhat like a hotel feeling, right? And most of the windows here are fixed, so it won't be affected by rain, and they installed a dedicated ventilation panel to to promote air movement within this space. So here you have floor tiles, you will have spray painting, and this is really nice. It's so fine. It feels absolutely different looking from the surrounding just now. Then you will have a parapet walls here along with the handrails, and the corridor width is 1.6 across the whole floor plate, and it's all single loaded corridor. So on one side, I like that this is facing inside, and from here we can really feel the seclusion from the external noise, and also it really leads the residents to feel in a whole different space altogether. Like you can see into the voids, right? So there are pebbles around. They have the skylight to the car park area. The landscape is not like crazy, but it's very focused, tastefully done, and this will be the experience going back home. And with the amount of units per floor plate, right, it's very private, and both wings will have their very own refuse. So there's refuse 1 on the other side. Here is refuse room 2, and opening to it, it's a rather small one, but because there's only very limited units, okay, and you has open ventilation to it, full height wall tiles. Too bad they don't have a gradient to help moving the things, but overall very nice. So for the unit that we're going to check out today, this is very cool because you have this common area directly connecting to the unit. So until this only is officially the unit, and this is a wonderful foyer. So this is where you can put in your grill if you want to, your shoe cabinets at this side, and the entrance is kind of in an angle, so some might like it, some might not. But generally the width of the foyer is 1.56, and let's go into the unit. And this will be the unit that we're going to check out today. This will be Type 1 1485 square feet, 3-bedroom unit. So when we come into the unit here, this will be the foyer just now. Coming into the main door, there will be a dining and living with a humongous balcony at the side. Then there will be a kitchen connected to the yard space, and there's a clear separation between the open space and the private spaces. Going in, there will be a workstation or a secondary living space or a family hall here. Bedroom 1, bedroom 2, bedroom 3, and a common bathroom at the side here. And you can see you will have openings on one side only, unfortunately, but let's go check it out. So coming into the unit, this is a 1 meters clearance door, and it's a fire rated door. That's why you don't see any partition from the lift lobby going into the main corridors. So this is nice, and there will be a drop in the ceiling. So this is 2.45 meters, but once you come in, directly you will have this open area all together. So here you will have your dining, your kitchen, your yard space at the side, your living, and the humongous balcony, and its openings at 2 sides like this. Wow! This is so nice. But what's very cool also will be this empty space here, which is somewhat like that foyer space before the private bedrooms. But on the floor plan, it's supposed to be the office space or the workstation or study area. So they kind of set up a wall here. That's why the door actually opens this way. But I think, I don't know whether it's going to be a big adjustment, but I would think that the door to open this way instead to be more welcoming, and it saves space. Because now if you open like that, right, what if I don't want to put a partition here? The door opening this direction is very big, right? But anyway, the wall-to-wall width here is 3.97 meters, and it looks way bigger due to its opening and the abundance of daylight. This is 7.3 on the length. That's why this entire feeling between the dining and living is my favorite layout, where the connection between users of different space is going to be very intimate. Plus, you can even add in a breakfast counter if you want to somewhat add in a partition or more area of workstation. But this is fabulous. Just that the view is not the best lah, because now due to this typology and the town planning just now, what we can see here are still the Kampung bungalows, right? These are still owned by relevant landowners, and that's actually block B of the project. So it's rather peculiar where the land is somewhat like a figure 8, and whenever we want to go swimming, actually we can go there. You know what? Let's go check out the balcony. Going out, the width of the balcony is 2.24 meters, And there's a socket with protection here. That's I like. And there's a water point also, so it lets you wash the balcony because of its humongous scale. And they give stone finish. I like it. There's also the slit of window that connects into the kitchen space. So there's wall lights at the side, and the balcony extends all the way to the front. So you have a concrete curb connecting to a steel handrail like this. And right in front you will have the Kampung houses. Wow, these are absolutely amazing, right? Then you have the individual title houses here. You have the shop lots of Kayu already. And there will be Mega Rise. We can see Sunway Serene at the edge. We can see Paradigm. That means that this is actually part of the connection between LDP and NKVE already. So it's also very close to the LRT3 track. Let's go find out where's the nearest track from this project. But just to look around some more, there will be a surau. I think at the side here, there will be more individual houses around. That's why this is very peculiar project, because this is the boundary line. On one side is Kampung houses, on one side is brand new development. And we have witnessed such typologies across main addresses like Mont Kiara on the border between Segambut. Then we have Bandar Utama also, where we are actually right behind center point in between all main highways, but right in the center there's still the Kampung setting. In Bangsa South as well at the back connecting to Pandai Dalam, there's also similar setting like this. So this is the beautiful part about Malaysia, and as long as we acknowledge that this is the setting that we're going to get, then the purchase would be fine. But from this area we can see that that is the boundary line, and that will be the entrance for Block B, where they have their very own drop-off and everything. So just by looking at this, right, it looks amazing, okay? But just not too sure that in terms of landscape treatments on the ground floor units, right, feels wonderful. Let's go check that out later. But on the facade wall we can see some cracks already. I thought this project just barely hand over. So by scrolling around the property portal for this leasehold project, this current unit that we are in right now is going for 1.2 million in terms of sale. Then there are larger units. There's 2,200 over square feet. That is going for 1.6 million. Some fully furnished one come to 1.7. The rental then, this is going for 3,006 to 3,008. So if you were to base on the current price of the property, if you buy at 1.6, right, if you rent out at 3.6, it cannot cover. But usually these are projects that are more inclined to own stay purposes. But looking at it, right, at this size of 1,005, it is very, very comfortable, especially this living space right now. It's awesome. But I think the main selling point here will be the amenities and the convenience surrounding this location. So here you will have existing communities around Bandar Utama, where you have all the schools, the tuition centers, commercial lots, mall, offices, LRT stations, highways and things like that. Everything is all ready. And within this location, going out, then we are connected to all the main circulation pathways around PJ going into Damansara. Wow, actually it is very, very convenient, and I guess that's the main reason why locals would want to buy this location. The ceiling height for the space here then is 3 meters. And instead of floor tiles, you look into the patterns, right, it's actually different. So some you have like straight lines like this. So their sizes are 600 mm by 600 mm. So you have some with lines, some without. I guess these are natural stones, I'm not too sure, but it looks awesome lah. At the edges you will have white timber skirtings. And moving in now, we are at the kitchen space, and it's formed in an L shape. The width here is 2.1 and the width here is 2.3, excluding the oven and the location for the fridge. So this comes with the unit where you have the top and bottom cabinets. Then you have the hood and hob furnished by Tika. This is a 2-burner. Then you will have the basin here, and it's deep enough, and I like that it's built on top of it, so it really is cleaning. This was the window that we can observe from the balcony just now. There will be backsplash here, and they are using a similar finishing just like the kitchen top. I love it. But just that, as we observed from the car park just now, the structural elements might be chunky, right? So you can see this beam here across the kitchen. Well, I think it's still okay because it's still somewhat located at the boundary of the space, right? If you want to add in another partition to isolate out the smell, just in case you want to do heavy cooking, right? Actually, you can still do it here. And going in, this will be the yard space. Wow, this is luxurious. This can perfectly be your wet kitchen if you want to, since it's connected to the void space, and this is where all your aircon compressors are located. And since it's a yard space, the tile sizes are smaller, but this will be the location of your washer and dryer. But you can easily convert it into a wet kitchen as mentioned just now. And this is very useful. So the worst part about this kind of door is I don't know who is on the other side, and when you just open, right? So this opening here within the door is actually for safety purposes. But compared to that, right, the opening to this void, look at that. You will have the NATO windows here, and you will have the open grill here. It's all open air. Wow. But I'm not too sure why you will need to have this wall here. Maybe it's just for isolation purposes, so you can actually add on a grill door or whatsoever. I don't know why. Similarly to the beam here, we can also observe the beam here across the partition between the open space and the private spaces. And first of all, let's go check out the common bathroom. So here you will have Toto WC and Toto basin, and the top with full-size mirror, so that feels wonderful. Right, you will have the shower screen and the shower area here, full height wall tiles, and there will be a frosted window at the side. Next to that, this will then be the first bedroom, and we have laminated timber for the floor timber skirtings, and there will be only one small window at this side. So the size of the room is pretty spacious, 2.7 by 3.8 in width. But just that this kind of angle takes up a lot of spaces. I guess these are the structural members. That includes to the treatments of the entrance as well. You look into this huge chunk here for the beam. Yeah, so that kind of creates this tunnel effect. Like when you go into the unit, right, there will be this thickness that we need to pass through first. So this actually takes up a lot of space, unfortunately. But in terms of size of the room, it's actually very sufficient. You will have 1, 2, 3 plug points here, and the view of the window is actually looking out to the Kampung houses. Coming out from there, I like this space here because it's really like a foyer before going into all the rooms, and this will be bedroom number 2. The size of the room then will be 2.75 by 3.45 meters. Huge, where you can put in a queen size bed. You can still put in your wardrobe here, a dressing table somewhat if you want to. You can still have space for bedside tables, and this will be the scale of the window looking out. So in terms of size, it's nice. In terms of views, yeah. But there's just a lot of circulation space around the room. And moving on, this will be the last room. Let's go check it out. So coming in through the door here, actually on the ceiling, this will be the structural member, as you can see here. Yeah, this is a bit annoying, but after that, right, they still salvage the ceiling height for the wardrobe space, so this is nice. And they have a similar treatments for the timber floorings for all bedrooms. And this will be the bed position. It's awesome. Look at this king size bed, right? After you put in, you still have so much space within the surrounding. Where the area just for the bed, right, is 3.2 meters by 4.2 meters. And it looks bigger because of the window panel here again. So in terms of scale, I guess all the bedrooms are very luxurious. Just that there will be certain obstacles around the ceiling area. Well, I guess it's fine once you decorate it like that. At least you address it lah. But I think when it's bare unit, it looks rather intimidating to a certain extent due to its chunkiness, right? Anyway, this is the ensuite bathroom. Going in, this is like a hotel's bathroom. So you have the LED below the storage area. So you have the vanity top. This is by Toto, WC by Toto. I'm not too sure whether is it stone or tiles, but it looks amazing from floor all the way up, full height, shower screen, and there will be a frosted window on the side. And I absolutely enjoy the combination between different materials here. It's very tidy. Like, ooh. So now going up to the rooftop of Block A, we are now next to the multi-purpose hall. and all facilities are set within the rooftop of Tower A. And here you can see the round stilts that is supporting, so it gives it a very lightweight feeling, right? It absolutely is gorgeous in terms of architecture. I really like it, but too bad it does not really match the surrounding lah. So this used to be the main concern for this project, especially when it was launched, because although it's located right behind Center Point, you can see the McDonald's right next to it, right? Many people do not know that within the inner part of the address, actually there's still a lot of Kampung setting here, despite having all the urbanization around, right? So these are still around, which I absolutely like it. So there's just a lot of character, but just that the limitation to such setting will be the level of infrastructure. So in terms of the size of the road, it's very narrow, where you have a lot of illegal parkings around the main area during the evenings and early in the mornings, right? You still have all the exposed wirings and cables, so it's not so nice, and it can get kind of messy sometimes because there's just a lot of people. But looking at the multi-purpose hall, this will be the opening. It can open all the way, so there will be an indoor space connecting to the outdoor space here, so it's going to be very nice, and it's actually separated. So in terms of visual, they somewhat try to control it using landscape treatments. You have the Eugenia's hedges here, right, to somewhat block you visually. Unfortunately, right in front there will be a brand new project called CK East, I think. So looking at it, it's going to be taller than the block itself, so that is not a great news. And by looking at the amount of density coming up here, it's going to add on to the usage of the local road, so that's a not so good point. But they are also trying to leverage on all the amenities and the good things around this location lah. Anyway, in terms of landscape treatments and space planning, this is wonderful. You will have the little garden walkway here. It's not crazy in terms of landscape due to its limited area. This will be the reflexology pathways. This will be the sitting areas for residents. So walking a bit further, that will be the barbecue terrace, where you have the barbecue pit along with sitting areas. So here will be the open area where you have the hammocks around and some decorative features. So this is supposed to be a sitting area during the evening, so you can look up and gaze to the sky. And the landscape again is really limited by the planter boxes lah. So that's the only way they are trying to somewhat control the maintenance costs, I think, because if you just let it go wild in terms of turfings and large areas, right, it's going to go crazy. Then you have some timber decks around. And moving on, this is rather interesting. So this will be the herbs garden, I guess. So you will have the jasmine here, you will have some herbs here, pandan leaves, misai kucing, then you will have aloe veras here. Oh, it's called a rooftop farm. Oh, it's written there. So this is next to a sitting area also. So imagine you can just sit here with your family early in the morning, right? Wow! And I like that they separate the space using different flooring materials. So here they put in the aggregates, right? The crusher runs. So children will find it very, very exciting to come around and see the different plantations here. Wow, this is so cool. And now we are in Block B swimming pool deck. In order to get over here, we need to first go into the car park level, go into a separate block, because both blocks will have their very own boom gates. So pedestrian wise, you need to walk over. So that's not as nice if you were to stay in Block A, but then you don't need to really take into the noise that is generated from this area into account. But the pool deck looks amazing. You will have the timber deck here. Then you have the kids play area here. I think it's the more shallow one. Then this will be the stairs going into the lap pool. So that's Block A. We are now in Block B. And these garden units are amazing. You look into the landscape treatments. You have the Cambojas, you will have the Eugenias for privacy. Woof! This is nice. You have that somewhat infinity edge, but it's still framed by the green hedges. But just too bad we can still see the roof profile of the rumah kampung, but it's fine because this is really a space that you can never imagine to have within this location itself. Next to the pool, then this will be the sitting area and somewhat like a bar area, and that will be the children's play area. So this will be a nice little sunken area for the kids to play a bit nice. Behind the lounge area, then this will be the changing rooms and bathrooms. and this is the onsen. So it's via booking, and I like it. That's why you can see the bamboo walls from the outside, right? It's for the onsen purpose. Wow! So in order to access the gym room, there will be one level upwards. So when you climb the stairs into the gym room, and here you will have the free weight zone, you will have the machines, right? You will have the cardios. So that will be the treadmills. Is furnished by this company called True. You have the bicycles, and they are somewhat facing the pool area. So you can still see that there are some rectification work here and there. But overall, this view, not too bad lah. However, there are multiple access to this. So this will be those that's coming up from block A. This will be those that is coming in directly from block B. Unfortunately, then this is somewhat like a wasted space in my opinion. But it's okay man, they got space to waste. Coming up one more floor, then this will be the studio space where you can do yoga or dancing or pilates or whatsoever. You can use this space, and it's somewhat half a floor above the gym room. So this view is very nice. And I guess that's all for the project. Now let's head on to the nearest commercial area, which is Center Point. Next to that is actually a school, so it's going to be pretty convenient if you are raising a family here. Let's go check it out. So we are now located right next to SMK BU2, and that will be the entrance into the development just now. Right outside this will be the commercial center already. Okay, so here you will have all the F&B outlets, the cafes, the mamas, the gyms or whatsoever. So all can be done here. And surrounding this location will be all the very premium landed properties that has been developed since back then lah. And now all of them are worth a lot of money. I think an alternative to that will be something like the project that we have just visited just now. Okay, so we are now in Center Point, and there will be a basement car park. There will be a lot of F&B outlets within the ground floor. So you will have somewhat like a kopitiam, you will have mama, you will have bakute, you will have organic food, you will have cafes, Japanese food, then you also have Jaya Grocer at the end, and at the center it's actually pretty open. So you also have a kids play area here, pharmacies on the upstairs. Then there will be more appointment based businesses like clinics, dentists, anytime fitness, music classes, nails, pedicure, manicure and things like that. So that's the profile of this mall, which is absolutely sufficient for the crowds around here. That's why until now it's still very popular. You can see that the car park is all full. Amazing. And I guess that's all. It's now time for Sean's Take 3 on 3. So for the 3 things I like, number 1 would be definitely the location of Bandar Utama and this area of Petaling Jaya, due to its level of convenience, accessibility and maturity of community. Which means if you were to move here, immediately you can leave already. Like, this location is popular for all the right reasons. It's just a highly sought after address to raise a family, where there are just schools in abundance, and the journey to those schools are just very connected. You are connected to the LDP highway, NKVE highway, Sprint highway, whatever highway. Like here, getting into Mont Kiara, PJ, Kota Damansara, TTDI is all one street away. And not only that, a lot of people only focus on the residential side of Bandar Utama. Actually, within the commercial aspect itself, you will have Bandar Utama Mall, Center Point, which is like a community mall. Then you have Atria as well, which is a driving distance away. You also have a lot of offices that also drives the demand for a location like this. And for those who are working within those commercial areas, right, this area will then always be in demand. So that's the good thing about this address. Not only that, now you will have the brand new access of the MRTs as well. So this is very close to a few MRT, although not walking distance, but you are very close to it. So that's like a added bonus if you were to stay in this location. The second thing I like then will be this very unique typology of a low-rise apartment. So this project has only like 82 units spread across 2 blocks, and it's only 5-story high. So it's somewhat like an apartment on land, and the unit typology ranges from 1,500 over square feet over to 2,000 over square feet. So it's somewhat like a landed terrace house without the staircase. So it's double story, you just stack into one floor. And because of that, the level of privacy privacy for the project is actually very, very good. So you go around the project, right? It's very quiet, it's very serene. But once you come out, you can immediately feel the busyness of the school, of the mall, of the traffic, of the working crowds already. And that's heavily contributed by the third thing, which is the architectural treatments. From the external, right, you can already see that they address to really make a difference between their project and the rest of the surrounding. Like from the walkway itself, from the landscape treatments, from the entrance statement, is those Japanese garden inspired designs. I absolutely love it. Then going in, the pathway is a very pleasant drive into the basement, and so happen that the pavement is also have glittery effects to it. That's crazy. And what I love the most is the common areas treatments from the lobby into the unit itself. So from the lift lobby, there will be a nice sitting area outside. Everything is cozy. It really feels like a resort. Going into the lift lobby, it's open, it's bright, and it's a single loaded corridors. And the best treatment, in my opinion, for the project will be the common void. So the pit to the voids are dressed up using the Japanese garden design, and you will have the feature wall of that slate that is in a textured format, right? When the sunlight hits, right, I think in the evening you also have some lighting effects to it, so it really gives you the dramatic effect, and that space itself really brings you away from the surrounding. Although the surrounding is not very conducive, right? You still have the rumah kampung, you have a lot of traffic jam before you come back home, right? Once on the way back home to your unit, you will slowly unwind already. And the density per floor plate is only like 8 units, 4 units per one side. Very, very nice. And when you go into the unit, the living space with a balcony opening at both sides, you will have an outdoor space. The yard space is amazing. There will be a nice separation between the open space and private spaces. And the study area, then that's arguable, but for now, if you just leave it as an empty space, right, I think it's a very nice transition space before getting into the bedrooms. Yeah, in terms of facilities, I think it's smart to put a garden at the rooftop and a swimming pool on block B itself. On the swimming pool itself, it feels absolutely amazing, but just that there are things that I don't like about it, which is point number 1. What I don't like will be the difference in the location of the facilities. So like now from block A, I will need to walk over to block B to use the gym and the swimming pool. So it feels rather weird. I think there will be a price difference in terms of different blocks. Block A seems a bit more exposed outside, block B seems a bit more private, so maybe the premium is located at the block B itself. But block B's garden unit next to the pool, wow, those garden treatments, right? Oof, absolutely amazing. But just that the journey to the gym, I need to climb 2 stairs up. It's just a distance away, not like I can just take the lift down to the facility deck and gao tim, right? So that's usually the challenges for a horizontal oriented layout, not so much of a vertical kind of thing. Then within the unit itself, I think the door direction is somewhat a mistake. I would open it to the wall instead of the open area, but within the floor plan itself, they dedicate the open area to be a workstation, but I don't know. So it somewhat felt a bit weird. And in the living room space itself, they somewhat set in the boundary of the living room to somewhat have the opening on the balcony. But I think at the party wall itself, why don't they open slits of opening on that side? So since it's a corner unit, technically you can have openings on 2 facades. So this is what I felt that it was wasted. And something very close to that, the second thing I don't like about the project will be the structural system. Like it's beam and columns, but that sheer size of them, right, it's insanely big. It's so low density, I'm not too sure like why do you need such thick beams. Maybe it's to have a better clearance in terms of the width span, I'm not too sure, but that is very evident within the unit itself. Thankfully, those structural elements are laid within the boundary of spaces, so you can somewhat camouflage it using different treatments, right? But it hindered a lot on the ceiling treatments. Just to think about it, if they can shrink the beam a little bit more, right? And you just add on like maybe 1 feet to 2 feet to the ceiling height. Ooh, this unit really like, what, take my money please. And last of all will be the main concern for this project ever since the launch is immediate surrounding of the Kampung setting. So the entrance to it, although it's driving through the center point, going through the housing area, you need to drive through the narrow roads into the project itself. So the limitation to that will be two things. In terms of infrastructure, the roads are narrower. Then in terms of the electrical cables, it's all still hanging at the side. Drains are still exposed. And because of the rumah kampung setting, because there will be a few houses within one piece of land, right? Usually the refuse always located at the front door, because that's how the truck collect the rubbish ma. So when we drive across into the development, you will see all sampah one side, sampah one side. And it's also a concern when you look into the boundary between the project and the neighbor. It's literally 2 to 3 feet away from the boundary line only, because they are single story houses. Then yours is like a 5-story building. So you can really see the distance that is very, very close. That affects the view for the swimming pool, the views to the gym, the views of the unit itself. Imagine if this size, you just elevate another 10-story upwards, right? Ooh, but too bad lah, right? This is restricted in the building height. And not only that, right in front you will have an immediate competitor, right? I think it's called CK East or something like that. So that's going to be a concern as well, because it's blocking the view of the units facing the front. Plus it's going to add on a lot more density, a lot more people into the roads itself. So I'm not too sure whether can the roads cater to it. But just driving out just now on the non-peak hours, we will kind of need to siam here a bit, siam there a bit, to let the cars pass through lah. So when it's peak and busy, right, I'm not too sure how is it like. Anyway, I guess that's all for the episode. Now you can see next to the school, you will have a lot of parents waiting outside ready to pick up their children. So that's directly right outside the entrance of the project. So something to take note as well. But to me, do I like the project? Looking at what the limitations are, I think the development team has done its best. The architectural coordination with landscape architect, right, is amazing. Like the central void, the corridor width, the common areas, the swimming pool facility, that, ooh, very, very nice. The unit of 1,500 square feet, right, I can totally imagine myself buying. Don't know whether the developer will give me discounts or not if I were to be interested. But I really don't mind staying in there, knowing that it's within a kampung setting itself. That's why I can still afford it, man. If it's in a very well-planned urban setting, right, you think this price, man. And I guess that's all for this episode. If you really like this episode, like it, share, and even subscribe for more information like this. Until next time, this is Sean Tan. Ciao.